The Ackman and Quantum TV. Is there a hero? Is there a villain? Are they both villains in this story? You decide. Now here is the basic timeline of the events that unfolded. So let's get down to the very beginning. Quantum TV makes an Elden Ring review video. Now this was an absolutely terrible review. Personally, I don't think particularly they spent a lot of time playing it, and he never showed any game footage at all of him actually playing the game itself. It was kind of half-assed. So I guess really by internet standards, he is open up to basic criticism for this. Now, he had around 60,000 subs at the time, and he insulted the fan base. He pretty much burned a lot of bridges with this whole sort of situation. And eventually someone decided to do a review of his review and enter the chat Mischief. Now, Mischief had around 5k subs, and he did a review on Quantum TV's Elden Ring video. Now, if you watch it itself, personally, I do think the guy went a bit overboard, and there is a big difference between sort of constructive criticism and bullying. And I think personally, the guy went a bit too much. You know, eventually, after a while, you keep insulting the guy, it gets a bit overboard, and you know, what becomes really a review of constructive criticism just becomes some sort of massive roast. And you know what, a lot of things you did say and some of the other things, you know, you were factually correct, but I think personally you went a bit overboard. But that's my personal opinion. You can criticize that as much as you want. You know, it's up to you. If you want to go around reviewing people's reviews, and some of them can be harsh, you know, it is what it is. Now, this is where it gets even more interesting. Quantum TV must see the video, and then he decides to copyright strike it. But the funny thing is, I don't really think he actually really watched the video. He just sort of saw a bit of his content and thought, ah, man, you're stealing my content, I'm just going to copyright strike you. But the funny thing is, it did fall under the category of fair use because he uploaded it and added his criticism. Maybe not the best criticism, but he still added it. So that is how this all starts. Now, a bit more background on this. Quantum TV's main thing that he does on his channel, or his niche as you'd like to call it, is the best TV settings, which in my personal opinion, I didn't even think this was even a thing. Maybe I'm just a basic person, but I pretty much do use the default settings. So maybe I'm living in the past. There's a whole new world Quantum TV has now opened up to me, and I must investigate further to my TV settings in the future. Now, something else that's actually quite funny is when he tried to copyright strike Mischief for the uses of his footage, he actually commented and said, "You literally stole my footage with an illegal downloader." This whole story is just comedy gold at best. Now, because of this copy strike, Mischief decides to remove the video. Mischief decides to warn others about Quantum TV and what he's been doing. Now, this isn't actually the first time Quantum TV's done anything like this, and he later gets exposed for doing this multiple times. And this mainly is because he doesn't like any forms of criticism, which actually is also ironic because a lot of the YouTubers involved in this whole story actually cannot take any form of criticism as well. Now, after speaking to multiple people, he then decides to 3 days later re-upload the video. Now, let's get on to the main event. Now, the Ackman in question decides to make this video, and this is how this all blew out of proportion. And ironically, he probably actually really regrets making this video because, I mean, he wouldn't know the shitstorm it would cause. Now, me personally, my personal opinion on this whole situation really is the Ackman kept digging and digging and digging, and obviously this is pretty much where it starts. And I mean, he's only got himself to blame really for making this matter worse in most cases. So anyway, so the video itself was the worst Elden Ring hot takes, right? So he uploads this to YouTube, 31 minutes long. Now, it's not 31 minutes worth of constructive criticism. I mean, if you watch the whole thing, I would argue that it's more of a roast. Now, the first one is about 6 minutes worth of roasting some kid who's got like less than 3,000 subs, which, I mean, coming from a guy from 1 million subs, I generally do think when he searched for this, he just searched for like low views or low subs just because it's easy and it wouldn't be that hard to ridicule these people for their low quality content, which is a shame really. But then as we go in, we go to Quantum TV's 20 minutes worth of roasting. Now, I'm not defending Quantum TV at all here, and if you interpret it that way, I mean, then you probably haven't been listening. Quantum TV is a bad guy. He's a really bad review, and things escalated. But I think really the manner of which it escalated from all the other people is quite bad. And some of these people really did handle this whole thing in general really bad. Now, the 20 minutes worth of roasting, he did bring up good, some good points, you know, of how bad the video was, and some of it was somewhat, you know, constructive criticism. But I would argue that that man didn't pull any punches; he went full out. And I assume, really, by this video, once MTV actually watched it, he probably felt attacked. That's why he decided to copyright strike the Act Man. So another turn in the story was that the videos that he actually roasted, they deleted the video. So Quantum TV, of course, deleted it. Everyone probably knows this part of the story, but also the guy with less than 3,000 subs who he decided to pick on also deleted the video. So well done, Act Man. Good on you. Now, this is where the snowball effect happens, where the thing gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, the Act Man does his video, but some of his friends, who are, for all intents and purposes, big channels, decide to weigh in on all this situation. Now, this is where it's more funny, the fact that the Act Man actually knows that Quantum TV is a copyright striker guy, right? So, I don't know, at some point, maybe he thought he was immune from Quantum TV when he made his video, but I think he knew exactly what he was doing when he did this. Not really sure what the mindset was. Maybe he thought he was immune because he has over 1 million subs. I don't know. But anyway, guess what happens? Quantum TV copyright strikes him. I mean, this is a completely unexpected plot twist in this whole thing. A guy who's a serial copyright striker strikes you when you make content about him. Now, YouTube enters the chat. Now, YouTube has a look at this and clearly sees its fair usage, just like Mischief's. You know, we can't judge Act Man and his poor taste of picking on smaller YouTubers. But at the end of the day, he was in the right here. This does come under the category of fair use. Now, this is where you'd think the story would end, but sadly the story keeps going on. Like I said, the snowball effect. So as the snowball keeps getting bigger and bigger, we continue with the snowball getting bigger and bigger. Now, as this whole thing gains a lot of attention, the Act Man does an interview. Now, let's listen to what he says.
And then Actman makes his video, the worst Elden Ring hot takes. And this was the first video that you actually talked about Quantum, right?
Yeah, there was a couple other guys that, so an unsung hero of this that I meant to shout out in one of my other videos was for Tenga Plays, because he made the video after Mischief, and then Review Tech USA, and then some other guys, and then I was the one that you could argue kind of blew the hot takes up, and then he copyright struck me.
Okay, so this is where it's interesting. We said there was a group of us, right? And they're all chatting about Quantum TV, which is nothing wrong with it. You know, he's perfectly okay to talk about Quantum TV. You know, you're allowed to have discussions. But the bit which I find kind of weird is when he rattles off all the names. So they obviously probably had some sort of gentleman's agreement where they'd all take turns and shitting on this content of a really poor Elden Ring video. And I kind of feel bad, really, because all these are fairly big YouTubers, right? And they're all ganging up on one guy over something really shit, trying to make money off a really shit video by commenting on a really shit video, telling the world how bad his shit video is. I mean, I don't know. To me, I kind of feel like this is definitely falling dangerously close to either the bullying category. Maybe they just didn't really have a lot going on in their lives to ridicule some guy.
And also, he's accused you or other people of sexually harassing him by photoshopping cucumbers around his mouth.
Yeah, I apologize to anybody watching in the audience that is, you know, young. You know, we're talking about extremely sexual things right now, like cucumbers poorly photoshopped over someone's mouth, not even in his mouth. So I hope your audience is prepared.
Much better job.
Oh yeah, and that was kind of the point. It was like a 1 minute edit, like But the reason I did that is because he had a clip of him trying to call Review Tech USA like a porn star, because there's an image of Review Tech USA with a cucumber in his mouth, and he was like, "Wow, look, you're sucking on cucumbers in such a provocative way," and then so I just I just turned the tables on him. But they're like,
he didn't like that at all.
No, he didn't like that one bit.
Yeah, I certainly am not surprised. And so
now the Act Man wins, right? He wins this copyright claim, and you'd think this would be over, right? But oh no, it's not over. Why? Because the guy goes on this ego power trip where he decides to expose Quantum TV and all the bad things he's done and dig through his past.
Where you actually made the second video about this, where you kind of went through and explained a little bit more about his past and like things that he had posted before. Is that right?
This is when I was like, okay, he's trying to strike Mischief. He's tried to strike me. What else has he done? Because this seems like a guy that is, and I saw that he had been in the comments of other videos and like threatening.
This is where it really confuses me, because he takes this so personal and he makes it sort of like a crusade, like he's massively wrong, even though he's already won. He starts to investigate him and stuff like that, and it makes you really wonder what was going through the guy's head. Like, I mean, you've won, and you just gone on this massive ego trip where you're just trying to ruin this guy's life now.
Legal action and litigation, and like, I don't want to crush a smaller channel with litigation and take down this, thumbnail that has my face in it. Otherwise, I'll issue a strike. And I saw this and I was like, this is someone who's clearly weaponizing DMCA's to silence criticism about him. So I'm pulling no fucking punches this time.
What Quantum TV is doing is bad, right? And I'm not going to sit here and defend him, but you're not some sort of vigilante. It's not up to you to make these type of decisions.
That's a big point, because obviously people have brought up previous tweets that you've made where you used like the homophobic F word, etc. And there's not really a lot of corroboration to show that this was actually done with malice, and it was just more so done because that's just how you were talking then, and you don't really use those words anymore. You don't talk like that anymore, do you?
I mean, it's like, I didn't treat my platform. I treated my platform back then like I was stubborn, in the sense that I thought, well, my social norms and the social norms that I grew up with should also extend to the internet.
Right. Yeah.
And that was rather foolish, but.
Now, this isn't the first time that he's going to try and use double standards. Okay, this story has so many twists and turns. And to be fair, if someone actually told me the story, I probably wouldn't even believe them. But the fact that it's all over the internet kind of makes you wonder if it wasn't even staged at some point, because it's so unbelievable that it's just crazy. So anyway, this keeps escalating. And at some point, Quantum TV decides to get hold of the Ackman's mother's phone number. And you can probably see where this is going. He decides to phone her. Now, on the video itself, you can't actually hear her side of the story. You just hear him talking, and it's around 30 minutes. But there's an interview with the Ackman now, and this story is how it unfolds.
Go online and find your personal information, and then call your mother.
So I'm not entirely sure when he did that. He may have done it before or after the worst Elden Ring hot takes, but he called my mom 42 minutes after the copyright abuse video went up. Now that video is 31 minutes long, so he had
finished
time
the whole
to
thing, and then he just went right to it.
Well, he finished the video, maybe took a nice shit, maybe got himself a little snack, and then called my mom.
And so, like,
now I think everybody across the board can agree that what Quantum TV did was wrong, and it was super weird. And for some reason, this shouldn't have really escalated to the point where he even does this or over. And keep in mind that both these people have yet to really back down. That's why this thing keeps escalating, because they will not back down, either one of them.
What did he say to your mom that made you feel like it was a threat, besides the fact of just contacting her in the first place?
What's up? What's up?
Which, in my opinion, is completely over the line.
Yeah, it was kind of just like intimidation tactics, and the way he was talking to her is just like, anytime I was like, man, should I press through with this Dark Age of YouTube video? I went back and I would just listen to the way that he talked to my mom, and I would just get this fire inside me, like, fuck it, I'm gonna work 14 hours on this video today.
And you said, and you said on your thing that if he ever came on your property, you'd shoot him, right? Or threatened you, or anything like that. Well,
yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Now, the thing is, he still doesn't back down, and it keeps escalating. And he wants to make the video of the Dark Age of YouTube, which is just keeps poking the bear, and he just keeps going and keeps going. But, I actually agree with him when he says about if he feels threatened to protect himself against Quantum TV, and he is very much entitled to protect himself against Quantum TV.
For a bit, and they took my statement, and I gave them a handful of links, and then they said they'd investigate it, and then a few days later they came back and they were like, okay, yeah, we didn't find any community guidelines violations. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll just have to go balls to the walls on this one.
And that's whenever that was the picture that you had posted on Twitter, and it was showing basically that like, yeah, we've looked into it and we didn't find any sort of violation, right? And that's whenever they said that if you call them, that they're not going to reverse the decision. Is that effectively it?
That was the very last time. So,
oh my God, so this is another one.
Here's the thing now, the Act-Man now is becoming a full-fledged vigilante. He's going out of his way now to ruin Quantum TV. And I'm saying I'm not defending Quantum TV at all. I'm just saying that the Act-Man has took this very, very personal.
Yeah, so that was the very last time. I waited to drop the news that they weren't going to do anything until my video, The Dark Age of YouTube, was close to completion.
Right.
Because I wanted Quantum to feel victorious for the shortest amount of time possible.
Of course. Yeah, so his ego is not getting larger and larger, yeah.
Yeah, there was basically three investigations that YouTube apparently conducted. The first one was kind of a short one, and they said, yeah, no community guidelines violations. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to remove all doubt. So I spent like 8 hours the next day compiling this big, what I call a dossier, like 3,500 word document, outlines all the harassment, the copyright strikes, images. I linked to videos of other people talking about it. Basically, this huge fucking document. Yeah. And I sent it.
Now, the Act-Man, for all intents and purposes, still keeps pushing and pushing, and he's not getting quite what he wanted. So what is he going to do next is the question.
To YouTube. And again, they were like, yep, no community guidelines violations. And then I was like, okay, but here are 3 videos of him encouraging his audience to look up my personal information. He has a phone call that he himself published where he's talking to my mom. Like, this is clearly not okay. And they were like, eh.
So did YouTube ever explicitly, like, kind of condone that? Or did they just not address that specifically?
They did not address it at all.
Okay, so this is where it gets interesting to me. So I think personally with this whole thing, the whole situation is YouTube should have done something. But the fact is, the Act-Man has went out of his way to provide all this different information. But at the end of the day, YouTube's decision is final. And now you've lost the game. You're now saying the rules weren't fair or it must be rigged. And you should really just accept the fact that you lost. Okay, so this case took many different turns, right? And I kind of feel like it's constantly like turning left or right, and we end up back where we started. And it could end up being some sort of really shitty documentary on Netflix. The Chronicles of the Act-Man, or the downfall of the Act-Man, or the rise of Quantum TV. So the Act-Man builds this case and sends it to YouTube. Apparently he spent a lot of time doing it, as you'll see in the video, but they basically just don't side with him. Now, I don't know if it's his ego or the rejection he doesn't like, but it doesn't sit well with the guy, right? And he should have probably won, because I mean, I don't disbelieve he didn't have he must have had like some really good proof on this whole situation. But for whatever reason, like I say, the YouTube doesn't side with the guy. So he then decides to post an edgy tweet about doxing YouTube. Bearing in mind the guy's got 1 million subs. He's got everything to lose. And he's risking everything over some shit review. I mean, the guy's got some issues, to be fair, if he's going to go that full board over this. If you want to ruin your career, at least do it something over something good, you know? But anyway, he posts this doxing thing, and then he tries to laugh it off as a joke. He deletes it after a few hours, but the damage is done. I mean, he works for YouTube and he threatened YouTube. Now, some people may take this as a joke, but I think really we should all take into consideration there are a lot of people out there who have threatened companies and then acted out said threats. And I'm not saying that he would go overboard to do any of these things. I'm just saying that this type of thing does happen, and every threat should be considered a real threat. And YouTube accepting this as a real threat is very valid.
Like the doxing adventures with Act-Man tweet, the tweet that got me completely demonetized. It's like, it's hard to feel like there's not something malicious going on when it would have taken like 5 minutes to reach out and be like, hey, are you serious? And I would have been like, no.
So that
get a
was
sense of humor next time.
So this
get a sense of humor.
Yeah, this is the tweet that you made about doxing the YouTube employees. Is that it? Doxing and harassing families. And to be fair, I've said this on stream. That was a bad idea to tweet that. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Bad idea.
Okay, so can we all agree here the fact that a group of these people were all into this discussion yet again, and the Act-Man did say he was going to stay out of it for a while, then decided to chime in. But the fact that the group of these people all took turns of ripping the shittest Elder Ring video, like, to me, I just can't get my head around the fact that it's such a bad video that it triggered these people to the point where they all had to make a video about it. It's kind of, it is a bit weird and kind of a bit obsessive on their part. Now, I also would like to also say that I'm still not condoning anything Ackman has done. I'm just pointing out the fact that this whole situation with these YouTubers is kind of creepy.
We were able to shed light on this whole situation because we had a small little connected group that, you know, and he shared like, bro, this guy just submitted a takedown against me, and we're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I didn't do anything about it until like weeks later. I kind of stayed out of it, but that was when Fratanga Plays was also in the chat, and he made a video shortly after, and then Review Tech USA picked up the story. I feel like it just, you know, that whole situation with Mischief, I look at that and I put myself in the shoes of like a few thousand sub content creator, and just like you can't make a big stink about it because
especially
you just don't have
kid.
the audience. Yeah.
Now, ironically, this is really funny because everyone will agree that what happened to Mischief was wrong. But actually, I think Mischief, for all intents and purposes, despite all this drama, will actually be thanking Quantum TV. I think he actually did it on his community page because he got a huge spike in viewership and subs. I mean, the guy is at something like 170,000. I mean, he's got more followers now than Quantum TV. And I think no one here can ever, you know, justify what Quantum TV did to Mischief. I mean, all Mischief really did was find one of the worst videos on YouTube, and then you know, decided to rip on the guy, and then this sort of tag team after effect of all the other biggish YouTubers decided to weigh in with their thoughts on the worst ever video. So I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, is there?
Guess I'm fucked.
Yeah, okay.
Damn, this sucks. I don't really want to make videos anymore. Videos, even though I'm demonetized, I feel like it's just really demoralizing to be in this position.
What's also
like I
videos
said,
don't get promoted.
I had the guy with less than 3,000 subs who you ridiculed on your video feels. I mean, he did delete his video. I wonder if he feels demoralized, just like you.
As I've been, you know, working through this, I realize that I'm not going to be intimidated or silenced just because they have the carrot on the stick in front of me, like, you want your monetization back, don't you? Yeah, don't you? Jingling the keys in front of me. Yeah, you want it back, don't you? Okay, well then just, like, shut up and be quiet about all of this. It's like, no, you guys wronged me. So if you don't give this back, that's you fucking up. So I'm not going to cave into, like, your demands or your intimidation tactics just because you're jangling the keys in front of me. It's like, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, of course. And also, like...
I hope Quantum TV is banned. All of his channels are banned, and we create some type of watchdog group to look out for him.
I thought that already existed. You and your friends have already done extensive research into Quantum TV. Okay, so he now talks about witch hunts, and I kind of feel like there's already a witch hunt. Now, we can all agree that Quantum TV, like I said, not defending Quantum TV, but the mob mentality, a load of you YouTubers collectively all agreed to make a video on a terrible video of... Not only did you do that, but a lot of you knew full well that the guy was a repeated copyright striker. So, I mean, at what point does this not become a witch hunt? And now you want to get him removed personally. I mean, you've made this very personal.
And if anybody gets wind of him creating a second channel, we forward that to YouTube, and he's yeeted.
It's like
so
the
we leave
Belmonts and Dracula.
Yeah, we leave no quarter for him to come back.
Yeah.
I also hope that copyright abuse, that new policies are enacted to actually punish people that abuse the MCAs.
Yeah.
That's a big one. And because I don't want like witch hunts to become the norm on YouTube. Decisions at YouTube are investigated internally there. I hope that YouTube and the people that know what they're doing at the website investigate the people that made the decisions that led to this current predicament.
I think that's
examine
a really good
how
point.
We got here.
Yeah. Because like it's like,
how did we get here?
If you fix this problem, who cares about getting rid of one of the golden eggs if you can't figure out why there's the goose?
At some point, a public apology from YouTube could go a long way. I would respond really well to that.
Or an explanation. I think that they should. I don't think that they'll probably apologize to you because of like the doxing thing, but I think that they should make a statement about Quantum.
Okay, so this is my 2 cents on the whole apology thing. On the surface, I 100% agree that he should have got it at the start. But the problem is he went down a different path. If he stayed on the straight path, he would have been perfectly fine. But the guy just went down a different road. Now, I don't know why he went down that road. You know, he didn't have to. Like, he didn't have to make the first video. He knew when he was going to nosedive into that pool that there was going to be some sharks in there. He knew about the copyrights. He knew about it. Yet he got stung. And he did win because he was also in the right when he did it. I mean, the video itself was kind of a horrible take on a horrible take. I mean, you know, you could class it as bullying and stuff like that. But the guy just couldn't let it go. So he then decides to make this whole copyright thing. And for it is kind of funny, but it's just extremely petty. And a guy with over 1 million subs getting all obsessed with this to the point where he makes like a 3 or 4 page dossier on like everything the guy has ever done. I mean, the guy's clearly obsessed with the guy, you know? I don't know why the Act-Man is so self-emotionally invested in this. And, you know, things keep escalating because the guy just can't let it go. And every time the Act-Man ever did anything, it's like, oh no, the sexual harassment thing, I thought that was funny. I apologize, but it's an empty apologize. And then he brings back all the past stuff that the Quantum TV did, which is completely unnecessary. You go for your past and you're not squeaky clean either. And you have to have quite a lot of self-entitlement to think that you, as a YouTuber with over 1 million subs, is owed an apology for being a bit of a jerk. And you threatened YouTube. I mean, you never threaten your boss. You never threaten your friends. You never threaten people, especially on social media where it can last forever. And that's one of the things you did mention before, that once you upload the internet, you are open to criticism. I mean, any time that someone tries to criticize you, you always try to shrug it off as something that's less important. I mean, you should at least own up to, you know, some form of criticism, you know? I have stated a couple of times, I think that the Act-Man in general was way too emotionally involved in this matter and seemed to be borderline obsessed. And it got way too out of hand because he couldn't back down, or maybe an ego problem. But I'll play the clip now and I'll put the source of the whole video in the description.
Said, some personal advice. You were too emotionally involved in this situation to a point where you might end up ending your career. You were right to call out Quantum TV, but you were at the point of self-destruction. The Act-Man responds by saying, what kind of son would I be if I didn't get emotionally involved? Genuine question. Papa Gut then responds, genuine answer in your DMs. Okay, Papa Gut, I'm trying to make an entertaining video here. Why do you want to be respectful and withhold the juice response to Papa Gut by saying, apparently mocking YouTube for their inaction as being too emotionally involved? This is literally just a bullshit excuse from YouTube to try and justify them removing the Act-Man from the partner program. Papa Gut responds, you are probably right, but he's been demonetized. My advice is to take his foot off the gas so he avoids a deeper punishment which he clearly doesn't deserve. That doesn't mean he should stop his advocation. It means he should be more careful about it. Mischief responds, he is being, hence why he's not uploaded another YouTube video as of yet. Papa Gut responds, the dude's career is on the line. I've been in the same position, former job not YouTube wise. My advice doesn't mean give up. It's about planning to fight another day. Quantum TV, who does a great job being shameless and manipulative. Repost.
Now, I know that people will try and defend his tweets, right? But he was on YouTube's radar, and the last thing you want to do is make a big fuss. And by tweeting what he did and then trying to joke it off, I mean, you know, it's just so stupid. I mean, I know he regrets it, but this is the problem. He should have just done absolutely nothing, and this whole thing would have been resolved, and he probably would have been back to doing what he does best on YouTube.
Of Quantum TV saying, no, you can't just expose me for ban evading. Act-Man responds, haha, way back machine go brr.
Now that's what I mean, he keeps poking the bear. As you're about to see, this is also the bit where he says that anything he did in the past is completely irrelevant, yet Quantum TV's past is relevant. Question mark.
Donkey Monkey responds to Act-Man by saying, give it a rest, man. I know it's fun to meme and laugh, but for real, you were coming off as unhinged. I get why, but maybe sit on your hands for a minute. The Act-Man responds, I probably should, but every time these thoughts of giving it a rest come into my head, I remember that my livelihood was just taken from me. And worse yet, justice has yet to be served. Quinn responds by saying, why not move over to another channel? All the support you've gotten is proof you'd bounce back pretty quickly, no? Act-Man responds, at this point, I'm completely demoralized from making any videos, to be honest. Jason responds to Act-Man by saying, yeah, The Wayback Machine is so epic. Showing 5+-year-old tweets of Actman using offensive language. Actman responds by saying, if you are going to bring up old, edgy, irrelevant tweets that I already condemned 50+ times, then will you at least crop out the redundant ones? I know people like you really want me to be a racist, and I'm truly sorry to disappoint you that—
Okay, this is where I call bullshit, right? Whenever you have a subject, right, and you go off the topic and you bring irrelevant stuff, he tweeted this, she posted that, you know, it's off topic, right? And I think personally, people who bring this up first tend to be the people that lose the battle. Yes, the Actman has posted some really horrible things, and it was a few years ago, and I would defend Actman in this case, but also Quantum TV has done it, and there is double standard. So I think really this whole thing cancels each other out, in my opinion. Okay, now you want to strap yourself in for this next one, because this one's a bit of a doozy.
Tried my best to prevent YouTube from having the brand/image it does now. One of a company who openly supports your right to use their platform to wish for death and violence against the LGBT+ community, and all during Pride Month. Hashtag YouTube sides with hate. Hashtag justice for Actman. Elika Trash responds to Actman by saying, well, it shouldn't just be LGBT+ people. Anyone who wishes for death and violence upon anyone shouldn't have a major voice on a major platform. Doesn't matter who is being threatened. Actman responds, true that. I just find it especially reprehensible that YouTube still tries to maintain the facade that they care about the LGBT community through all this.
Okay, so this is where the story takes another turn. Now, I've said this multiple times, it's probably lost it. Personally, I just think really these two should go on some sort of reality show like Jeremy Kyle or Jerry Springer or something, just hash it out, because I think it's got to the point now where it's just escalated too far. I mean, it was a video, and the Actman with his million subs just keeps dragging this out. And this is a dangerous thing where he's going down this path. And I personally do think that this guy has been consumed with hate, and he will not stop at nothing now to win this game. Well, it's not even a game, but he must think it's like a game, like some sort of simulation that he must win. Now, he's trying to use the hate game, right? The hate narrative. So what he's now trying to do is say that he is the end-all be-all, us versus them mentality, which I don't really like when people try to do this. And the manner that he's trying to do this, he's trying to weaponize things. Now, just because Quantum TV exists, the simple existence of him being on the YouTube platform that has been around for quite a long time, as well as there's millions of users every day, millions of uploads every day, and thousands of people join the platform every day. His simple existence, or Quantum TV's existence, must mean that YouTube has picked a side. And guess what? They've picked the anti-LGBTQ side. Now, I think personally this is a big stretch, and I think this is a very bold claim that he has made, and it's also a dangerous claim he has made. If you also take into consideration the amount of people on YouTube, there's so many people who are far more dangerous than Quantum TV, yet they're still allowed to have a platform. So, I mean, you should really take that into consideration again before you start making it us versus them mentality. You did say yourself earlier in the video you didn't want some sort of witch hunt, so you should be careful on the words you are using here.
Willie Mac Show quote tweets Actman and says, so your argument is that YouTube hates LGBT. I thought yesterday you were saying that wasn't the case. Actman responds by saying, I didn't say they hate LGBT. I said they've unintentionally given their brand the image that they fully support your right to promote violence against them. I don't know why you continue to misrepresent what I'm saying. He then shares this Cooley Bravo tweet from 2017 that says, Twitter, the only place where well-articulated sentences still get misrepresented. You can say, I like pancakes, and somebody will say, so you hate waffles? No, bitch. That's a whole new sentence. What the fuck you talking about?
He said this was nothing to do with it, and then 24 hours he changed his mind. I question this. Now, the Actman now does something extremely hypocritical, and it's actually tragically beautiful because these leaked DMs actually reveal the true Actman. So, I give you the video. Now, the Actman didn't want to be punished for his joke. When Tommy C does a joke, he wants Tommy C punished. And now this video is going to open a new can of worms, as the Actman would say.
Man then posts a clip of J-Station with the caption, J-Station just uploaded a video calling my mom at 3 a.m. This is real, laughing my ass off. Clarification, it's obviously fake. He didn't call my mom actually.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another 3 a.m. challenge. Today, we are calling Ant-Man's mom at 3 a.m. Oh my god, what is she gonna do, guys? Let's smash the like button right now, guys. Let's get it. All right, guys, we got Mommy Ant-Man's phone number right here. I am so scared to do this. Okay, we're gonna call her. It's calling right now. Okay, I don't know if she's gonna pick up.
Hello?
Hello? Hello, is this Ant-Man's mom?
Who's calling?
What up, bitch?
The Actman follows up his tweet by saying, while hilarious, unfortunately, now Tommy C has uploaded content from a user with a previous restriction, and therefore YouTube is well within their rights to take action against him in this video. Congratulations, dipshit, you played yourself. He then shows a portion of the YouTube TOS that says, posting previously removed content or content from terminated or restricted creators. If you post content previously removed for violating our terms of service, content produced by creators with the current restriction, or content from creators who have been terminated under our terms, the content may be removed, your account may be penalized, and in some cases your account may be terminated. And then he shows that clip from JStation was
Okay, so when you try to dox YouTube and then try to play it off as a joke, because every single thing you seem to do which causes any sort of negative criticism, you automatically play it off as a joke or make out it's not relevant. Yet now you're being exposed here for not being able to take any form of criticism and a joke.
When it would have taken like 5 minutes to reach out and be like, hey, are you serious? And I would have been like, no.
So that
Get a
was
sense of humor next time.
So this
Get a
is-
sense of humor.
Yeah.
I mean, this video here really just shows how cringeworthy this whole situation. One caused all this drama, and the Actman is still going on, and now trying to be a massive hypocrite here. I mean, there's no lengths this guy won't go.
Tommy banned? Actman responds by saying, have you not been paying attention? The whole point of this is that the rules are not being enforced. They need to be, or else crazy shit like Quantum TV happens. JStation is not allowed on the platform, and it is against TOS to upload content from a restricted user. I'd normally take a more lenient stance towards re-uploads of terminated users, but since this deals with the very real subject of my family being doxxed, I am taking this seriously. Why should I not? Common Cop responds by saying, JStation isn't actually calling your mother in that clip though. It's a satirical skit about a serious topic. That shouldn't be ban-worthy, and I don't care if it's from someone who's already been terminated, unless it's like EDP, lol. The Actman responds, not ban-worthy, strike-worthy. Comment Cop responds, then
Jokes can be funny. When I tell jokes, I'm funny, like Joe Pesci funny, like haha funny. But when someone criticizes me, I don't think that's acceptable.
between him and the Actman with the caption, some jokes are not okay. The DMs start out with Actman saying, I would be fine with the joke if it wasn't JStation, and this wasn't happening after no action was taken against my mother literally being doxxed. My sense of humor disappears at that point. The joke is my family was doxxed, and YouTube did nothing about it. Hard for me to laugh at that right now. Tommy then responds with a clip of the Actman and says, no, it's fine as is. Just spoke to the Actman for the last hour on Discord. He told me he had an immediate rash reaction to Tommy, and tweeted what he said out of anger, but has since calmed down and removed the post and backed off the stance that the video should be removed. I think the tweet was really dumb, and I told him that, and argued the many reasons of why it was bad. And while I don't think he agreed with all of my points, I think he recognizes it was bad, hence why he removed it. Willie Mac Show responds by saying, it's really annoying that everyone has to keep calming him down when it comes to simple questions or memes.
Here's the thing, right? The Actman sometimes criticizes people for even asking questions, and some people are just trying to get to the bottom of this whole thing. As he's the person involved, you'd think he'd be trying to help people, but sometimes he does the complete opposite and tries to put roadblocks up, and people are just trying to ask questions.
Except that I ask questions. And because I'm brave enough to ask questions, I come under scrutinies.
Tommy C then shares even more leaked DMs with the Actman and captions them by saying, this could be it, but you never know. It starts with the Actman saying, well, I tried being reasonable. Hope you at least understand the emotional position I have been in. I'm sure you think I send these messages to you for malice and drama, but the answer is no. And I do apologize if I lumped you in with Quantum unfairly, and or if you felt I did. Truly was not my intention. My intention all along has been to share the truth. I'm willing to send you whatever evidence you request. Tommy C then responds with a screen cap of the previous DMs between them and says, no, you didn't. Actman responds, I'm not asking for anything in return, just letting you know where I stand. Tommy responds, don't care, to which Actman replies, that's all there is to it then, best of luck. A couple hours after this happened, Augie tweeted out,
Okay, look, I know the fact that you could argue that he antagonized him, right? But the thing is, the Actman didn't have to take the bait, right? And the whole double standards thing here is completely wrong, and the guy's wrong. But why does everyone have to keep calming the guy down? He has a very short fuse. He clearly has anger problems, because sometimes he doesn't get his way and he throws his toys out of pram. I don't know if that's the type of situation because he's become such a big shot YouTuber that he has to get his way all the time because he thinks he's like invincible or something like that. Or maybe it's part of his ego trip that he's clearly on. Funny because it's the moral of the story is the Actman can tell jokes, but no one else can tell jokes anymore because it hurts people's feelings.
And that would have been the end of this situation if it weren't for the fact that the next day, Nicholas Diorio tweeted out, "Feeling spontaneous. Might create a YouTube series called The Flagging Adventures with Actman. In it, I'll be telling my audience how not triggered I am about a joke, and totally not trying to get Tommy's channel struck. Twitter is the perfect place for someone like me. Also, sorry, not sorry. I am like obligated to leak this." He then shares a DM that was sent to him by the Actman the night prior that says, "Oh boy, Tommy C about to get a strike if I have anything to say about it," linking the J Station video that Tommy C made. Nick follows this up by saying, "I like this guy's content, and he has been nice on stream. I even think he's in the right with this controversy at YouTube. That being said, Actman's stunt he pulled last night is completely fucking unacceptable. I am more or less distancing myself from this whole story, and
Now let's get to the conclusion, my final thoughts, the end of the story, as it were, unless this keeps escalating and then we get a part 2. Now, I was going to title this Heroes and Villains, but after really thinking about it, I think this would be a misinterpretation of this entire story. To say that one person is truly the hero in this story would be a lie, as I do think personally that at the end of the story, once you unravel all the bits of paper, that they're all villains in their own right, and there's no real true hero in this story. I was going to title this Heroes and Villains, but after much consideration, I would argue that there is actually no heroes in this story. Normally there is a hero somewhere. There was a hero in this video at one point, but sadly that hero fell, just like that Spider-Man quote. Here's my conclusion after looking into this whole situation and spending many hours watching all the videos involved, stemming from one shit. My conclusion is this, that the people involved are not all fully innocent. We can all agree that Quantum TV has done and said some horrible things and should probably be removed from the platform or at least be punished at some point. However, the Actman has acted in this situation absolutely terrible. Him himself had so much to lose. He had over 1 million subs. This is his business. This is his livelihood. This is everything to him. He worked so hard to maintain it just to lose it over shit. Now, in this situation, if he had done nothing, he would have probably had his monetization. But instead, he took it upon himself to be the judge, jury, and executioner and try and remove Quantum TV. And he was the good guy at the start of this, the Actman. Had he done nothing, he would have been probably perfectly fine. He would have been okay, and he would have kept everything. He would have been okay. He wouldn't have been the hero of the story because he's still a bit of a shitty person, but he still would have at least had his monetization. Okay, so this is why I think he's a bit of a shitty person, right? And some people may disagree with me. He has claimed that he likes to help smaller YouTubers, right? But the guy he took a big shit on his Elden Ring video had fewer than 3,000 subs. So I feel kind of bad for that guy. Him and Quantum did both delete the video. Now, this is me defending what Quantum did. I'm just saying that the guy took 2 big shits on 2 YouTubers, and like it was kind of like bullying, because if you watch the whole thing, it's just a massive roast. I know some people say criticism, but I just think it's a bit unfair considering the size that the Actman is, 1 million subs, and he's resorted to this. It's a bit beneath him. But the embarrassing part here of this story is the fact that you win the first case against his copyright strike, which you should have done. I would 100% back you, fair use, 100%. Bit of a shitty, person for shitting on him in that matter, but whatever. But anyway, you do that, but then that's not good enough for you because you have like this ego, maybe a god complex. So then you make the second video, and the second video actually is quite funny. I'm not going to lie. The fact that you spent hours and hours making it, I have respect for you, Actman. I disagree with a lot of things, but I have respect for you because you went out your way to make it, and it is kind of funny. But this whole video that you made, I kind of feel like you did it just because of ego, exposing him and stuff like that. And that's after all your friends all took turns in making content off the guy. And as you exposed him, which you should have exposed him, I'm not saying you shouldn't have done that. I'm just saying you did expose him. But it's quite funny because it didn't quite go the way you wanted to. Because after this, when you pile up all that evidence that you contemplated, which probably took you hours and hours, maybe you and your friends and your hate group decided to make like a dossier of all of it. And when they didn't side with you, obviously this is where you explode your path of destruction. After the Actman loses the case, I do think that he personally was consumed with this hate and anger. And anyone who's ever met someone when they're consumed by this hate and anger thing, it just takes over. And it's hard to reason with someone when they get to that point of anger levels. And he tries to make these series of jokes which are really inappropriate. And he tries to bully his way back. He's poking the bear. I mean, this guy is just out of control. And then he goes to expect YouTube to apologize, but the guy is clearly obsessed with Quantum TV and still wants him off the platform. Now, I agree that YouTube should have at the start, apologized to you, but YouTube's decision is final and you have to accept that. But you can't accept that because you, in your own reality, feel like you've been massively wronged by society, even though all this is, you are the driver in this car. You did all these things. You could have stopped at any point, but you didn't. You just kept putting your foot on the gas and you just kept going and going. So you've only really got yourself to blame for everything because you're the one who did the post. You did the threats. You did the cucumber. We won't talk too much about the cucumber. Then decide to weaponize, I don't know how to say this really nice way. This is quite sad. This is where I think you was clutching at straws. You try to use hate by saying us versus them tactic. So, which is a dangerous narrative to push. By Quantum TV simply existing on the platform, you are essentially saying that YouTube is a hateful thing. But it's quite ironic, really, because saying that YouTube hate the LGBTQ because they side with Quantum TV, because really what you should really look at as yourself, which you probably won't because you're so in the thick of it, is that the YouTube community in general is quite toxic. It's eat or be eaten sometimes. People will do crazy shit to get views. You see it on TikTok, Twitter, kids doing the most craziest shit just to get likes and views, and people tearing people apart for like clout and stuff. Not to say that that's what you're doing right now, but what I'm trying to say is that there is so much hate on social media that this one guy who they haven't took down because of the shit he's pulled does not mean they are a hate group. There are so many people on YouTube, daily users. I mean, this is just a complete and utter bullshit tactic. I'm trying to win an argument. Now, I personally think this, after much consideration of watching all the videos and all the other stuff, that there is a lot more to this than just the... It's just like that scene in the Bronx Tale.
Was that fight really over a parking space? No.
You with these last words, that at any point during this entire escapade crusade that you created during this shit storm, that all you had to do is stop. All you had to do is stop. Instead, you continue down the road of destruction. Hashtag the bad man.